Hello again, flawed guy here yet again. Last week I asked the question, "Are you an idiot?" Basically, had to do with me calling people idiot every time I get mad at them or they do something stupid to me, especially like in traffic and whatnot. But the whole point of the video was to say that we can all be idiots if we're not careful, and we should try to still be kind to people, understanding as best we can, because I'd want somebody to not call me an idiot all the time, especially if it was an honest mistake or something of that nature. So it kind of leads me into what I'm wanting to talk about today, which, as I told you last week, I never know what I'm going to talk about. But this one's crossed my mind, a couple of times, and it's funny because again, in traffic, uh, it kind of sparked the idea for what to talk about today. And basically, it is, I want to encourage all people, anybody that would listen to this video, especially Christian people, to, for those who don't really stress this anymore, especially if you have children or, just as a general rule, we need to be more conscious of being courteous, uh, having manners again. Our society is degenerated so far that even just the basic human courtesies have gone down the toilet, so to speak, in my opinion. I grew up, born in the 60s, grew up in the 70s, 80s, even maybe the 90s, even. And you, you look back and you realize people weren't so degenerate, and we even let ourselves go. In some areas, have let myself go. But I grew up where you were supposed to keep your word when you said something. You were taught to say yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, yes, sir, no, sir. Um, there was corporal punishment in my school when I got older. I went to a military school where you sign a sheet saying you could be basically spanked in high school. And I think that is a good thing. I think I'm glad I was spanked as a kid if I needed it. Maybe not all kids need that, but um, I'm glad I was if I got out of hand. And it just goes on with, what I wanted to say, which was society's just degenerate in a lot of ways. You can't even go to the store and they're just dirtier. They're not as clean as they used to be. People aren't as kind as they used to be. Now, there's always exceptions. There's always some really great people, even of all ages, even some young folks and whatnot. But as a whole, I remember growing up, you went to the store, you know, people said thank you and held the door for you, and we're just generally kind and courteous, and um, people just didn't do rude things, gross things, and kids were under more control in the restaurant or at the store, and it was just a nicer time to live. And if we would just go back to, even as Christians, teaching our young kids to be courteous and have some manners, and that you're not supposed to just be given everything and deserve everything, because I don't deserve anything. None of us deserve anything. God doesn't have to give us anything. As a matter of fact, we owe Him everything. The very breath I breathe, I owe Him. I didn't create myself. I'm a living being and have the ability to think because of Him. So the thing that brought this up for me was I was in traffic There's a big long line, and I like to say hi to everybody. I like to wave to everybody. I just generally, that's just my nature as a person. I try to be kind and talk to people. And I saw this lady waiting in traffic, and she was stuck, and there was no possibility of her getting into the line to get out to the light. And so I went ahead and waved her on to get in front of me, and she got in front of me, and no thanks, no wave, nothing. And for someone of my nature, and when I grew up, it was common just to say thank you to somebody who did something nice for you. Yeah, just say thanks, just wave, nod, you know, tell somebody I appreciate what you did, and it happens all the time. You let somebody ahead of you, and you hold the door for them, and they look at you like you're insane, or they just walk in and don't say anything. I think that's bad. I think. Can you imagine a society where if we would start teaching each other that and making ourselves do that again and teaching it in our Sunday schools and stuff? I'm not saying some people don't, but let's do it as a whole. Let's start being accountable to one another. Holding the door for women, and letting them have a seat when they don't have one. Going back to doing what you say you're going to do. If you're not going to be there, call somebody up and tell them, I can't make it today because this really happened. If it's true, it goes a long way for getting respect from people, at least in my opinion. I respect somebody a lot more, you know, even if you don't like me, if you just tell me straight up instead of, the BS basically, or the bull, sorry, of pretending, you're somebody you're not. Give me 5 reasons why you didn't show up or whatever. It just, can you imagine society if we could just still talk to people and they would do what they say, keep their appointments, and if they really had a reason why they couldn't, they would call you and just tell you and let you know, and then you wouldn't wait around, or you wouldn't be so upset. And if you went into the fast food restaurant and people said hi and it wasn't fake, it was because people really, there's a certain restaurant I won't name, but they make it a point to be very nice and say the catchphrases that you're supposed to say. And you know I try to be real, like I said, on this channel as a person. Wouldn't it be so much better if you didn't have to tell your employees to be nice? What if they were just nice because they were raised that way, like it was in the day, where you could just go in there and, for the most part, you know, a bad mood notwithstanding, someone just said, "Hey, how's it going? Here's your food. Thank you. You're welcome. I don't care what color you are or anything." You know what I mean? It was just, people were just nicer. You could ride your bike down the street and hang out with your friends and not worry about, getting mugged and your kids getting carted off somewhere so much. And, just something as simple as teaching people to be kind. And so I just would, just use a couple of scripture references. The one that's comes to mind here that I've brought up, it's Luke 6:31. It says, "And as ye would that men should do unto you, do ye also unto them likewise." That's what Jesus said. So, if someone let me get into traffic because I was having a hard time, man, I'd sure really would. Uh, I should wave to them, because if I let them in, I just want somebody to acknowledge it and say, "Hey, thanks, dude." And but people today just feel like you owe it to them or something, or they just don't care, and I think that's really sad. So I encourage people everywhere to just start being kind again. I know it's hard, but it starts with me, starts with you, just in your own family. Your brother, sister, mom, dad. Say thank you when they do something nice for you, or just even start going the extra mile, doing something nice for somebody. Even if they didn't do something for you. Um, being nice to the people at the bank or wherever you go every day. Just uh, not, be a little more neighborly. Now people sit down at restaurants. It amazes me with their phones. A family get their phones out and don't talk to each other the whole entire dinner. I don't think technology helped us in that regard. Do you guys? Nobody talking to one another, husband, wife, kids, just sitting there on a phone, oblivious to each other. Don't even grab each other's shoulder or hand or anything. It's just weird. People don't know how to act around other human beings anymore, and I think it's made us less human, if you will. Um, I'll just put one other scripture reference. I'll look up. And again, I would encourage you guys to get the e-sword thing. Um, this one's just about being kind. I just wanted to give you the scripture reference. So it's Ephesians 4:32, and it says, "And be ye kind one to another, tender-hearted." And I'm looking up the Greek, and it basically means well compassionate and sympathetic towards somebody, forgiving one another, even as God, for Christ's sake, has forgiven you. So um, I just encourage that to happen for everybody. Another example is, like my son works at a store, and the people come up on their cell phones, and they just they just pardon me for that. They just plop their cash or parts up on the counter. He'll be like running the register or something, and they're talking on their phone and not even looking at them and just like not say anything. Like, you're just supposed to ring me up and I go about my business. And to his credit, he makes them put the phone down and talk to them and ask them what they want. And, he's attentive to their needs. And I kind of agree with that. I think we should get back to being human beings again and not act like a bunch of degenerate animals, if you really want to know the truth. That's the way I feel it is. Just a bunch of degenerate human beings who are less than what they're capable of, not controlling their children in the stores, and just running around like crazy. Things are not as clean. People don't care about washing their hands. They walk out of the bathroom and they didn't wash their hands, and they go cook your food. It's like, do I want to eat here ever again? It's just, think about those things. Something as simple as being courteous and manners and just, washing your hands after you go to the bathroom. Can you imagine going out about your day the rest of the week? Just think about it. Where you saw people washing their hands, being clean, mopping the floors at the fast food restaurant, cleaning the table, just saying hi because they just wanted to, not because they were forced to. People at church asking you how you're doing because they meant it, asking you if you wanted to do something and actually doing it. And if they couldn't hold up to their obligation, they called you and told you why they couldn't do it. So just think about those things, go about your week, and remember that when we kind of talk to other people and interact with them, um, let's be kind to one another and do unto others as we would have done unto us. Thank you. See you next time.